What up, Bulls Nation? We've got a live CHGO Bulls podcast coming up right now. On today's show, earlier today, we officially met the newest members of the Chicago Bulls roster, rookies Caleb Wilson and Dailyn Swain, sitting alongside new Bulls lead exec Bryson Graham. Lots to get hyped about from that press conference. We're going to break it all down next. What's going on, Bulls Nation? Welcome into the CHGO Bulls podcast. Coming to you live on this Friday afternoon, rounding out a busy, eventful, and very fun week of the 2026 NBA Draft. CHGO Bulls Draft Week coverage is presented by our friends at Crown Royal. Thanks for joining us, Bulls Nation. Hit that like button if you're hanging out with us in the chat. Happy Friday to you. I'm Peck Bulls_Peck, joined by Big Day Bang, BWL Sports. Will Gottlieb, Will_Gottlieb. Read his stuff, allchgo.com. Great article up right now reacting to what Bryson Graham had to say about drafting these two newest young Bulls. Become a diehard with promo code GOAT. So you can read all that stuff that is for diehards only. And, of course, rocking with us behind the sessions today. She's been hanging out with us seemingly all day today because we were talking to Tim Legler with Sarah Bear earlier today. That's going to drop tomorrow. Behind the controls. Wow. I don't know about you guys, but that press conference got me hyped. The Tuesday night late interview that Bryson Graham did, it was short. He looked tired. He sounded tired. I was tired. I was like, okay, fine. But man, fast forward to today's press conference, and there are so many different things that were said in there that got me hyped. We'll break it all down. We'll also touch on what Bryson said about the whole second round picks being traded part, because he answered that again today after doing so on a couple of radio interviews yesterday. So much to get to, but Big Dave, first and foremost, buddy, are you as jacked and juiced as I am right now after listening to that press conference?
Nope, because everything's new. I don't do jacked and juice, Matt. I'm charged. I'm charged up. I'm charged up. I am ready. Yes. I saw you right after that ended, and you're right. You and I had a moment for about a good 3 minutes just of freaking out about that press conference, man. Like, I mean, it was everything I kind of wanted. You know, a player to be and a player to say. Both of the young men, both Caleb and Dailyn Swain, they exhibited the two types of crazy that I like. Like, Dailyn was more calm and focused about his, more chill, and Caleb was more upfront and in your face about it. Both their confidence levels were really high. They both seem like they can't wait to get to work. They both seem to understand the task that's in front of them. And they both just seem ready for whatever comes next. They're not even, I mean, the fact that they were talking about Summer League, like, it's a huge deal, you know, for them. Like, I hadn't heard rookies really speak like that when they get to the podium. Usually they start talking about the season. So let me know they're taking it step by step. Hearing Caleb talk about, I want to be first in everything. like in drills, you know, in practice, I want to be first. All right. Again, tone setter. We had a whole conversation about that. Tone setting that was going on. And yeah, you saw a lot of it at this press conference, Go. And yeah, I'm just curious to get your opinion on it because you were there. But yes, man, like I'm over the moon ready for everything from these two young men, dude. I can't wait for all this to start.
My initial reaction was, Big Dave is going to love this guy. That was my first reaction because, yeah, it's exactly the kind of crazy that you always talk about wanting your players to have. And it's like so consistent. You've wanted that. And that's what you've loved about Modest and the way that he talked about wanting to be most improved player and the way that he wants to just like rip everybody's head off in front of him at Summer League even. And so, yeah, I think it's good to see. I like the attitude. It felt like very fresh and new, especially I was thinking back to, mentioning Modest and the MIP thing. I was thinking back to media day last year and how my reaction, what I wrote from that was like, wow, the Bulls just did not set any expectations for themselves. and how disappointing that was. And then you contrast that with what Modest had said about like wanting to be most improved. Okay, is that likely that he's going to be most improved player? Probably not, but that's okay. Like he's setting goals and aspirations for himself and telling the fan base and the community that he wants to be great. And like nobody's ever going to criticize you for that. And that was kind of what Caleb, I think, was trying to do. I'm sure we'll listen to some of the clips here, but he kind of clarified what he was saying of just like, look, if I was telling you I wanted to be a mediocre player, that wouldn't be good either. So I think for him, it's like he wants to be great and he's going to try to do that. And if he gets there, that's awesome. If he doesn't, that just is what it is. But he knows that he put forth his best effort, and that's all you can ask for, especially when you're laying the foundation for a new team and a fresh start and a new roster and all of it. So I was also very encouraged. I think I'm still just in this place where I'm like, okay, let's just see it. Like, I just want to see what it looks like. I want to see what these guys look like in summer league. And we got the schedule. I'm sure we'll talk about that. I want to see what Bryson Graham does with the remaining cap space and the remaining roster spots. There's just a lot to be determined still, but all we can do is evaluate the steps as they come in. And I'm sure in time we'll step back and evaluate the bigger picture, but we got a show to do every day. Like, we're not going to just like say, okay, let's talk about it later because we don't know what else he's going to do. It's like, no, we're going to talk about it today. We're going to talk about what they told us today. We're going to talk about what moves he made today and all that. So that's just part of the picture. We're going to add some context as it comes in, but I think for what we know right now, it was really nice to see that attitude and mentality and personality and confidence, but also just emotional intelligence and maturity from both of those guys. It was really nice to see that shine through.
Let me say this real quick, Matt. Like, just reading between the lines of GOAT, because I've known GOAT for a little bit, like, y'all can't hear the little bits of excitement in the words that he's using about wanting to see these guys play. Like, just him saying the stuff like, yeah, let's see it. Like, you know, like, he don't speak like that unless he's just ready to see dudes ready to get out there and play ball. And he's right. Like, you're just like, you're so charged up, Matt, and you've heard all the words, you've seen all the things and the Tim Legler interview and all that stuff, man. And you're just like, okay, yeah, now give it to me. Like, put it out there on the floor. I want to go watch it. I want all of this. You know what I mean? So it's an exciting time and logically exciting. You know, you're bathed in the logic of the excitement of what's going on right now, man. That's a great feeling.
Bathed in logic and excitement. Shout out to everybody hanging out with us in that chat. Beef Dip saying both guys speak with a lot of confidence and maturity beyond their years. Two high character guys for sure. Bryson touched on that right at the beginning of the press conference, as he did on draft night, as to why he really is excited about both of these young players. Villa's in the chat saying, love the confidence and maturity of them both. Swayze33 saying, man, listen, the confidence of Caleb was infectious. That kid is the leader of that team already. And speaking of that confidence, Caleb was asked, so any big plans for your rookie year? And yeah, he had an answer about what he wants to do his rookie year. Sarah, take it away.
I mean, I expect to have rookie of the year, honestly. I mean, I'm going to work hard. I'm going to do what it takes. I feel like the team is really good for me and how I envision to play. And I know I'm a hard worker, so whatever I need to fix and work on throughout the season and before the season, I'm going to work on it so I can be a great player.
There it is. I mean, look, we've talked about that with Modest, as you were just talking about, Goat, and confidence and young players speaking with confidence. Modest didn't win Rookie of the Year. Modest did not win Most Improved Player, the goal he set for himself his second year. But I'm never going to be eye-rolling at confidence like that when it comes from a young man who, by all accounts of their body of work leading up to their NBA career starting, you say, it's possible. It's not impossible. And, I mean, Caleb Wilson, despite the fact that he went fourth of the consensus top four, a lot of people are talking about him being a very possible Rookie of the Year candidate, assuming he does right out of the gate earn himself a pretty big role on this Bulls team.
I think the situation that he's in is just really good for him. And, you know, it might have been good for AJ or Peterson or Boozer to come into this situation too. But I think for some of those guys, they're kind of in a team that already has a structure, that has an identity already. And the Bulls are a blank slate. And that's not to say that everybody from the previous regime is going to be gone. That's not to say that, you know, whatever. It's just like, it is what it is. This is a blank slate. This is a new beginning, a new chapter for these guys. They know it. I asked them about it. But like I always say, no one ever became great on accident. Like you can't just come in with a laissez attitude about getting better and competing and working hard every day and expect to become a great player in this league. So I think you need that mentality. I think that's how a lot of guys feel. Some of them just don't say it. But I like that he's willing to put himself out there because I think somebody needs to do that. And Modest, to his credit, has been the one that's done that in the past. I don't want to make it sound like there's nobody on the team that has done that. And I appreciate that about Modest. But it can't just be him. Like it's got to be. And I also think like how much better is that going to make Modest when you've got him and Caleb going at each other, both trying to be the best, both playing at the same position. Like that's going to help both of their growth. So I like that a lot. And I just think it's a good mentality and level set to have, especially when you can contrast that with what we talked about from last year, where it's like, are we going to make the playoffs? I don't know. Don't want to. We're going to make the play-in. Well, not sure. Not going to put a ceiling on this group. Not so. It's like, okay, let's at least like show that they're trying to build in a direction, not just like exist somewhere, because that's how you end up in the middle.
Yeah, just floating. It doesn't feel like that. They come in with their feet firmly planted. You know what I mean? On solid ground, both of those guys. I loved hearing Dailyn Swain too. I know this is all about Caleb and the love that I have for him and his psychoticness, but Dailyn Swain as well just sat over there like a real cool, quiet assassin. Like just, yeah, it's okay. Yeah, I went 15, some guys, this is how it goes, like but you could hear it in his voice, and how he was speaking. Like he's just ready to get out there and get to work. And if you all, I am now, every time he does anything, and as far as a press conference is concerned, I'm always watching Bryson Graham. Always. I'm always looking at him because he is always a key part of whatever press conference is happening, in my opinion, as the EVP. So I'm watching him. If you look at him during that press conference, when both those young men are speaking and answering, he has a proud father look on his face the entire time. He's sitting there watching them when they're saying these things, and he's just like, yup, yeah. And then when he even talked about, he even spoke about how he's trying to be great in his job, and he loves the fact that he has young men with him who are trying to be great also, because they're pushing each other. That's rare I hear you an executive say stuff like that, okay? When he's talking about, I want to be pushed just like these guys are trying to be pushed, because we're all trying to be great and all trying to get to this level. How can you not punch a hole in the wall when you're sitting there hearing stuff like this? Well, and it's your favorite team. Like it just had me excited all around for everybody involved. But yeah, Dailyn Swain, man, he wants it just as bad, and he can't wait to get out there either. And Caleb is just the one who articulates it, outright, who's wearing it on his sleeve and showing it to everybody, man. But yeah, like I couldn't be more excited for what's happening with the Bulls.
Yeah, along those lines, Vinicius in the chat saying, I thought Dailyn was a little nervous, and Caleb did what he said he does, which was lead by example. Very calm, taking the spotlight. And by the end, Dailyn said, just proving myself right, like Caleb said. Vinicius continuing, saying, showing Caleb already being a leader on this team. Very small detail, but it told me a lot. Absolutely. It did seem like Caleb was a bit more comfortable speaking confidently into that microphone than Dailyn was, and maybe Dailyn a bit more reserved. And Caleb even deferred to Dailyn a couple of times and said, hey, you could take that one if you want. And maybe that's partly because one went 4th and one went 15th, and maybe that's just partly who their personalities are. And I think that's right. I think you need a blend of different types of personalities on a good roster to create also equally importantly a strong locker room. You can't have, shout out to Rondo, 3 alphas. Yeah, you can't. So, but like you were saying, it will be interesting and fascinating, especially training camp practices, early reps. Is there going to be some sort of alpha competition between Caleb Wilson and Modest Buzelis or like whatever else it might be? I do think, though, that for a team that's this young with a lot of guys on it that are hungry and eager to prove themselves, healthy competition amongst young teammates is not a bad thing.
Not at all. I think the way that Bryson talked about it, and he did allude to it a little bit about the kind of people he wants to have. Like, we'll talk more about the 2nd round pick stuff and the Isaiah Joe trade that the Bulls, potentially could have been in on, but weren't. To me, what I've started to learn about Bryson is that the kind of people that he wants in his locker room are way more important to him
Yes.
than just like getting a guy.
Yes.
And I think that's a fair thing to agree or disagree with, but it does feel like that is emerging as a tendency of his. So
Yes.
we'll see what that means,
100%.
but that's just something I've kind of picked up on.
I wrote that down literally. I was going to say that next. Yes, 100%. Go ahead, man, please.
I was just going to say, why don't we knock out our first ad break right there? We'll come back on the other side, continue to dive into what we heard from Caleb, Dailyn Swain, and Bryson Graham at today's press conference. Caleb was asked about the other three that went top four. Boy, was his answer. Running through walls. Hit that like button. It's free. So is the subscribe button. Throw us a super chat if you're feeling so inclined today. More in that live chat with y'all after this break.
Sunny side, sunny side, sunny side. You know, they're feeling for the baseball season and all that, but the way Matt and I are feeling right now, we're here for the basketball season as well, ladies and gentlemen. Summer League means sunny side. We are ready for all of it, y'all. They have you covered. They are awesome, man. Sunnyside is your home for judgment-free shopping. They've got that crazy selection of over 100 different strains to choose from with easy online ordering and in-store pickup. Good news, Tea Time Vapes. They got them. People out on that links today, hanging out. Hope they had those Arnie Palmy alerts ready to go because those Tea Time Vapes help get your game going a little bit more, man. And that Stash Pass, y'all, you can get it live right now through Labor Day. It is going on all on Sunnyside, man. Save you some money. You know, it's a good thing. Trust me. Head to their website for only the best under the sun, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. HICHGO is the code you use at checkout. Sunnyside Dispensary, only the best under the sun, only for 21 and over or Illinois Met card holders.
CHGO Bulls also brought to you by Bet365. MLB early payout offer. Take advantage. We love spending a full 9 at the ballpark, but we also get it. There's 81 home games, whether you're a north sider or south sider, and you've got places to be. So whether you're trying to beat that Dan Ryan traffic or those lines at the Clark Street bars, sometimes getting out of that game a little early is the right move. That's why Bet365 is offering their 5-run early payout. Whenever the team you're riding goes up 5 runs at any point in the game, they'll pay your bet out right then and there. Simple as that. They can't stop bullpens from ruining your day. Cubs pitching, yikes. But they can help them stop ruining your bets. Bet365, where winning is everything. Download the app. Don't forget promo code CHGO365 when you sign up. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. CHGO Bulls rolls along here live on Friday afternoon. Thanks for being with us, Bulls Nation. Hit that like button if you haven't hit it yet. It's free. As we continue to break down this big press conference, introducing Bulls rookies Caleb Wilson and Dailyn Swain earlier today. And to do so, why don't we get to the big takeaway? The big takeaway is presented by our friends at Xfinity. Xfinity, imagine that. So, Dave, as we hopped on earlier today, right after that press conference ended, to do our interview with Legs that's going to drop tomorrow, I said to you, favorite moment, favorite answer from that press conference, and you rattled off a couple, and I think the second or third one you got to was the one I was waiting for you to say because it was mine, and it was Caleb Wilson's answer to a question regarding the consensus top 4 and the fact that he maybe didn't garner as much pre-draft attention as names like AJ DeBanza, Darren Peterson, and Cameron Boozer. His answer, enjoy it, Bulls Nation. Sarah?
I mean, yeah, for sure. I mean, I played all of them now. So, I mean, you know what happened when I played them. So, I mean, it don't really matter. I don't really care about the media. I'm a competitor, and I get to play in the summer league too. So, whatever need to be done to prove that I'm on the same level but I'm better, we'll do it.
Was that the motivation when you played Kansas earlier in the season, Duke later?
Honestly, I didn't have any motivation based on the person on the other side. It's about me. I mean, I'm just proving myself right.
Running through all of the brick and or concrete walls. When he said, y'all saw what happened when I played them, and then said, and I get to play him again real soon in Summer League, as you were just pointing out a moment ago, Goat, in case y'all haven't seen that Bulls Summer League schedule yet. Their first 3 games, DeBanza and the Wizards, Boozer and the Grizzlies, Peterson and the Jazz. And then the fact that he finished it, the follow-up part of the question and then answer was, it's not about them. It's about me. It's about me and showing what I could do. Every single word of that answer of his, the first part and the follow-up, I was like, well, I freaking love this guy.
You know what?
I've never seen Matt so excited before.
Oh, it's about to get worse, Goat. It's about to get worse. You know what? You know what that was? To quote Kendrick Lamar, he was blankety blank the big three. It's just big me. That's what he was out there with it, okay? He didn't care about none of that. And again, watch Bryson Graham when he's talking, because Bryson was looking at him like, He was shaking his head like, yep, I like that. Come on, give me more, young fella. Oh my God. Yes, man. All of that. Like it took me a sec because I was screaming a little bit when he said, I was like, ooh, like that when he said it, because you could feel it, that it meant something to him. And I think it hit me even more because the night before, when I was watching just a ton of Bulls stuff at like 1 o'clock in the morning, I had watched that game, the Duke North Carolina game that they played in when he went up against Cam Boozer. And a lot of that stuff I'm just looking at, I'm like, man, he could do that. Like a lot of stuff, I was like, dude, he could do that too. Like I had seen the game before, but I see it through different eyes now, because he's on your team. And I'm like, oh my gosh, man, that's incredible. And then of course the block that he had on Cam Boozer that, went everywhere. Just a incredible player, and a guy who comes in with a huge chip on both shoulders for this, man. He doesn't want to be mentioned with anyone. He wants to stand alone, and he means it. And he's willing to go out there and work to go get it. It's one thing to talk about you want to be the greatest, you want to be on Mike's level, but it's another thing to approach it and not have any fear about it. Like sometimes the shadow of that statue gets, a little large, for people. If you've seen that photo of him staring up at that statue that just got released, I just put it on my Instagram. Dude, he's just looking at it like, yeah. If you look at his face like, I'm getting one of these. That's what it looked like. He was looking at that like, man. It didn't look like any fear or hesitation or anything like that. Like he believes it. Like he truly, truly believes it. And he's going to try to work harder and harder and harder to get it. So just hearing him talk about his upbringing also, and how he said I wasn't athletic like that when I was like 14. So I watched a lot of Joker. You know what I mean? He was like, I was watching Joker, man. Like I was studying him. And I love Giannis and the way he plays. And of course, you can see the Giannis, you know what I mean, in the way that he plays for sure.
Talking about attacking downhill. Yeah,
absolutely. You see all of that. But I can't wait to see the Joker part, you know what I'm saying, in his game. That's when I was like, oh, the passing? Oh, you got some of that too with you? Yes, I want to see more of this, man. So somebody who's a student of the game and who loves the game and is also crazy enough to believe he can be the greatest ever in this game, man. Put all that stuff together. You got yourself a stew going, ladies and gentlemen. It is good times here in Chicago.
I would also just say, this is a little bit of a tangent, but going back to this idea that like it just feels like a new fresh start in this building. This is a quote from Bryson after he was asked about like the way that how it felt being able to land the guys that he did. He said, for the draft to land the way that it did, I just couldn't be more happy and excited. They both are the types of I say kids, but young men that we want in this building, that this community can be and will be proud of. The versatility as basketball players, their skill sets as basketball players. I know winning and being a great player is important to both of them. And just as great as they want to be as players, I want to be a great executive. So those things align. I feel like I've talked so many times about organizational alignment from top to bottom being like the only way you can get anywhere in basketball. And a lot has to go right. You got to get lucky. Like the Bulls, they got lucky. And when you talk about jumping up from 9 to 4, when you talk about, Caleb being the guy that fell to them, or, whatever it is, maybe Dailyn being the guy that fell to them at 15, you have to get lucky, but you also have to have, I think, the right infrastructure to get the most out of these guys. And yeah, I mean, we can agree or disagree with some of the moves that the front office makes. People can be more forgiving or more critical of them. That's like a fine debate to have. I don't mind having that debate, but I don't think it's debatable that this is a much better feel of an organization that like is actually trying to go somewhere. And I'm not even saying we should judge this organization, this regime against the last one. I think that would be a fail. I think the way to evaluate them is against what is good objectively and like how it should be performing objectively. So part of it is just like in contrast to the way that things used to feel. But again, I just think having that alignment, having that shared, and it goes back to that shared sort of personality and character type that I think Bryson wants to have in the building is like the guys that are as competitive as him, that want to be as great as he wants to be. And yeah, we may not agree or we may disagree with some of the moves, whatever, but I think we can still be more pleased with that being the reality now, as opposed to.
Yeah, I think it's fair. I think it's fair to say that, Goat, when you're talking about judging current regimes to past ones and just how Bulls fans have evaluated what has happened so far since in early April they announced that they were relieving AK of his duties. And some Bulls fans are saying, "Wow, look at let Bryson cook." I'm on board with a lot of this so far, and some are saying a couple of people in our chat right now are hammering him for pick 38, and we will get to that later in today's show and talk about how he responded to that question. But it's like, well, judge based on, are you making strong, solid choices in a clear direction to help build a winning basketball program? Because it's been missing here for a long time. Judging that against AK, it would be like judging your friendly neighborhood ice cream social against the freaking Bay of Pigs. Like, what? Like, there's no point. Yeah, yes, clearly one is better than the other so far, but we're all still just basking in the sunny day and the free ice cream, right? Like, that was the Bay of Pigs. So just measured approach, I think, is best when it comes to evaluating this step by step. And I say that as somebody who lost my mind for about 30 seconds when they traded that 38th pick the other night. And I calmed down. I've had time to reflect. I still have questions about whether it was the right move or not, but it's apples and oranges. And I think, to your point, it's just about seeing evidence one day and one move at a time. Transactions, hires, selecting the right draft picks. We'll see what he does with free agency opening in a couple of days. One day at a time.
But Matt, you even said it yourself. Even though you were upset at that time, which was awesome to see, by the way. But you even said it yourself, I'm gonna let this play out, because if he walks away and does something with the unrestricted free agents, in the unrestricted draft picks, and he walks away with something like that, then I'll be okay and I'll understand certain things. He walked away with the guy that was mocked to him. Mm-hmm. He walked away with the dude that they had mocked to him at 38.
It's true.
They had him mocked to him there, and he walked away with him for lesser money. That's yay. I'm like, all right, you're fine. It's good. Yeah, when I heard him actually explain what he did for me was it removed some of, I'm not going to say all of it, but it removed some of the idea that I had that ownership was behind all of it. Okay? So it took away some of that, because even him laughing about him finding out about cash considerations and the running joke that this
from
is.
Sylvie.
Yeah, he was like, oh, for real? Like, he didn't have any idea that this was a thing. So it's hard for me, and we said this, and Goat was saying this on the live draft show. It's not him. You know what I mean? It's not about him. It was about the ownership and the years and years and years and years of this. We have seen them do this kind of thing. So knowing that he had his hands and fingerprints kind of all on this, and it was his decision, and he came up with this, and he wanted to do it that way, and was like, I didn't like nobody there. I wasn't feeling them, so I'm not just going to draft somebody I'm not feeling. That's honest and logical. And then hear him telling Sylvie, I ain't ducking no smoke. It's whatever you want to say. Bring on all your hard questions. All that stuff for me, I was like, okay, you know what? Yeah. I'm going to disagree with some things you do, and that's all right. That's fine. Nothing's perfect. But what I'm not going to do is question how you doing your thing. You know what I mean? I'm just not going to do that anymore.
As opposed to a certain other someone who a while back said, these interviews are starting to feel like interrogation.
Right. When Sylvie said, I have spoken, and again, shout out to Sylvie, and I've said this to Sylvie, one of the best interviewers I have ever heard or listened to or seen in my life. I've said this to him years ago. He is incredible when it comes to interviewing, all right? Incredible. But even he said it, and he was on Twitter saying, I've spoken more to Bryson and Tiago than I have Billy, AK, and Eversley in the 6 years they were here. I've spoken to them more. That's crazy to hear. That's insane to hear, man. But it lets you know it's a different time and things are more open and guys are more willing to talk to you and understand. Even Tiago Splitter, I love Tiago Splitter. Now, like hearing how loose he was and how open he was and how he was speaking and what he had to go through to get the job and what he felt about Bright, all that stuff was great. But I know we gotta take a break, so I'll stop. But yeah, man, like I'm cool with it. Like he walked away with a dude that was mocked to you and then walked away with a bunch of shooters on top of that. All right, what am I supposed to be mad at? I don't get it.
With that, why don't we knock out our second ad break? We'll come back on the other side. Still lots to get to from today's press conference, including more answers from Caleb Wilson and Dailyn Swain, talking about people calling him overdrafted at 15. And then, of course, Bryson Graham and the why did you trade both of your second-round picks answer and our thoughts on his answer. All still ahead. Hit that like button. We'll be right back. CHGO Bulls is brought to you by Kalshi. Kalshi is the largest prediction market and the first federally regulated financial exchange dedicated to trading on the outcome of future events. From inflation to Fed rates and sporting event outcomes, Kalshi allows people to trade on a broad range of topics. On Kalshi, you're just trading against peers in a live market, meaning there is no house. And as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use code ALLNBA. That's ALLNBA to get $10 when you trade 10. Kalshi, that's Kalshi, Kalshi. Trade on anything. 18 and over only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For all more information, see Kalshi.com/regulatory.
I know the two things you're thinking right now. One, Caleb Wilson is awesome. Yes, you are correct. And two, you want to start a business. I know you do. You want to do that. They're awesome things, but you're going to want to need to make money, y'all. That is a key part of that. Got something for you. Shopify, the e-commerce platform behind millions and millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the United States of America. Shopify even powers the CHGO merch store. Check out Matt modeling it up there, ladies and gents. Shopify. They got you covered with website creation, product description, email and social media marketing, and much more. So if you're ready to sell, you're ready for Shopify. So turn that big business idea into cold, hard paper with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/allcity. That's shopify.com/allcity.
CHGO Bulls rolling along Friday afternoon. Thanks for being with us, Bulls Nation. Peck, Big Dave, Goat, our queen of the controls, Sarah Bear, hanging out with us behind the controls. Quick plug here, in case you missed it, we did also have the privilege of chatting yet again with our pal Horace Grant, Bulls legend, 3-time champ, earlier this week. He last night was celebrating the honor from the city of Chicago as it being named Horace Grant Day. So we talked to him about that, talked to him about his thoughts on Tiago hire splitter. He had some interesting thoughts there because obviously one of his nephews, Jeremy Grant, well versed in Tiago splitter, coaching for the Blazers. Really fun combo. And of course, because it's me and Big Dave, we talked to him a lot about the Knicks and fights in the 90s and all that fun stuff too. So go give that a view. You can find it right under that Save CHGO Bulls playlist right here on our YouTube channel. All right. So moving along this press conference, the next thing we wanted to get to, not Bryson yet. Caleb answered a different question about his work ethic and where the work ethic comes from. I believe it was our pal Josh Friedman. Shout out to him, WGN. Shout out to Sports Zone. Yes. So just another answer from Caleb Wilson that I absolutely loved. This is him talking about his work ethic. Sarah, take it away.
It started once I realized that I needed to do something with my life. I wasn't really a hard worker when I was younger. I probably didn't start like really taking basketball like specifically serious until I was around 14 years old. But once I really started to stick with it, I really started to work hard. And I just love the game, and I have a lot of fun with it. But like I want to be legendary. I want to be remembered after I finish playing, and that's kind of what pushes me every day to be a great player.
I want to be a legend. I want to be remembered after I'm done playing. That kind of stuff. And then, a little while later, he was answering another question. It said something about like all this big talk you're doing. Like, does it worry you that you got to back up that big talk? And he said, no, because what you may have mentioned this earlier ago, like, would it be better if I just said I have, average, hopes and dreams and plans of being a mediocre NBA player? Why would it be better to say that? No, I want to be a legend. I want to be considered one of the GOATs. Again, asterisk. Caleb, you live in Chicago now. There's one. His name's Michael Jeffrey Jordan. But still, like, there's a lot of swag coming off of this kid, Dave.
Tons of swag dropping off of him, Matt. And first of all, just to tap into the psychopath of him, who at 14 is like, you know what, I'm not doing enough. You know what I mean? I'm not taking this, seriously enough, man.
This whole thing, I gotta figure this out.
Right. You know what I mean? Like, seriously, like, who is on that level thinking that? And then it's like, you know what? Let me go ahead and lock in. And what is he, 19 now? Like, who has that kind of 5-year trajectory or plan mentally? I'm saying, like, from the age of 14 to then, that's incredible. And as Bryson was saying, kudos to how he was raised. Kudos to his mother. Yeah, right. You stupid. Yo, man, kudos to his mother and his father, man, for how that young man was raised, like, for real. And he, like he said, his father was the focus on the basketball side. His mother was the focus on the academic side. And you see it both. And you see both of it in him when he speaks and when he plays. You can tell that they were trying to raise a warrior. Okay. They were trying to raise somebody to be the absolute best, because nobody at age 14, I shouldn't say nobody, most kids at the age of 14 don't have that mindset or aren't thinking that kind of way about their future. And just the rundown from Ricky O'Donnell just shines through so much. The draft profile he wrote about Caleb Wilson, make sure y'all go check that out. It's just that stuff plays in my head when I'm sitting and I'm listening to him talking, and because I'm understanding, yeah, this is all true. Like, he really is like this. Like, this dude is out of his mind. Like, he can't wait to just go and get to work and just play basketball. And there's anybody who I know is at that level of greatness has a true, like, crazy love for the game. Like, winter, sleet, snow, rain, whatever, they want to hoop. They have stories about hooping through, like, terrible weather, hooping through terrible situations, hooping because bad things have happened, hooping because good things have happened. Like, but it's always about basketball and watching basketball and studying basketball. And it feels like he's that kind of guy when you listen to him talk and explain his love for the game and where that work ethic kind of comes from for him, man. So, yeah, man, it's just more things to make you excited about him, Matt. And usually, and Matt, when you haven't heard a bad thing said about somebody, it gives you concern. Usually, that's the case. You're like, all right, I don't like that. Ain't no, chinks in the armor or nothing like that on him. With him, I'm like, oh, but this is really who he is. Like, this is just it. Like, it's not a game. It's not phony. It's not contrived. It's like, Matt, when you met me, like, Matt didn't think I was like this. Matt thought I was a plant. Like, he didn't think I was this way all the time. I'm sure Goat told me, Goat thought I was out of my mind. Like nobody's like this consistently. Yeah,
nobody's that friendly. No one on planet Earth is that friendly.
It's just me. This is just who I am. You know what I mean? Like, and so I get that when I sit and I listen to Caleb and I listen to Bryson and I listen to Dailyn Swain speak. So I completely understand that, man. But yeah, Caleb is out of his mind crazy. And I mean that in the best, most wonderful possible way.
Also, yeah, I mean, I agree with that. And I think another piece of it is that he seemed to really want to be in Chicago. And part of that might just be like he knew he was going to go fourth and the Bulls had the fourth pick. But it seems like he really bought into it. And I want to say that this was Joel Lorenzi at The Athletic who wrote a good story about him sort of buying into that. I could be wrong about that, but he was like wearing a D Rose pin on draft night. Like, it kind of reminded me of when Caleb Williams was drafted and he like had the Bears shirt on underneath or whatever it was. And he's like trying to, like, people were concerned about like, oh, he's not going to want to be in Chicago. And for whatever reason, it's like, I like that these guys are buying into wanting to play for teams. And you've seen that a little bit with Modest. You've seen like Pete Crow Armstrong and Connor Bedard and Caleb Williams hanging out together and stuff like that. I just think that's like good for the brand. It's good for the teams. And I think it can help lead to greater success just in terms of like speaking it into existence. So I like that. I know, Dailyn was a little bit more reserved and quiet and maybe a little bit more shy, but I also really liked what he had to say just about his approach to all that stuff too. And feeling like he's going to be a better talent than where he got drafted, and him really wanting to buy into the sort of organizational alignment we were talking about when it comes to the vision that Bryson Graham has for this roster. I think he really fits in with that. And again, I know a lot of people, like I think back to our first round draft live watch along. We're going for 3.5 hours or whatever. It feels like so long ago. But people were like freaking out because they took Dailyn Swain over at Cam Carr. And I was like, I don't know, guys. I really like Dailyn Swain. He was number 3 on my board for the Bulls, or maybe number 4 after trading down, which, I don't think they would have been able to get anything that I would prefer to Dailyn Swain. So I'm very happy with that pick. But it seems like him and just his game and his mentality is also fans are starting to buy into that a little bit more too, which is great. I think they're going to be a really good pair. And again, if you think about them as the foundation and worry less about what are the other pieces around them today, I think that's kind of all you need to think about. I really don't think that and I don't want to like spend too much time on the second round picks thing, because I feel like that's already gotten blown further out of proportion than I wanted it to. And maybe that was just my fault for being like a little defensive, but I think the foundation is those two guys. And I think that we are so used to thinking about this team, thinking about how do we get to 39 wins this year. And I just don't think that is how this new front office is thinking. And so that's why it's worth taking that risk on a guy like Dailyn Swain, who I do think is a little bit more, needs to be developed a little bit more. I don't want to say he's raw, because he does have a lot of really good skills. But just in terms of his like scaling up and down and how he's going to fit with other players, I think there's some work that needs to be done there. But that's how I would have drafted. If I was viewing this Bulls team as a blank slate, those are the two guys I would have gone for in those spots, because I think that's what they need, is like a reset, not how do we fit the roster around the pieces that they already have. That's not Bryson's job. That's his job, is to put the next roster together.
Yeah.
Speaking of Dailyn Swain and some of those comments he had earlier today, he was asked about people talking that he may have been an overdraft at pick 15, and plenty of Bulls fans in our chat Tuesday night felt the same. Here is what he had to say in response, Sarah.
10-13.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I think people just go off of whatever the narrative is when they just look up a mock draft. But if you really pay attention to all the media outlets, a lot of the range was different for me. I think I was one of the wide range guys. I wouldn't say I was surprised to go where I went. If I hadn't came here, I think I would have been selected really soon after, and that might have surprised people. So, I mean, I think it just added a chip on my shoulder when people say, like you said, overdrafted or whatever the case may be. It's just, an added motivation piece, and just to prove myself right, like Caleb says.
And look, there were people who had Swain, and go, you said it yourself, higher than 15
Had him 13
on their big boards. All right. And go, you were not the only one. Lots of the premier people that you look to for pre-draft scouting reports, scouting analysis, a lot of those people had Swain as a lottery pick. And if you
but
were
also a lot of people, like ESPN had him in the 20s. Like,
right, yeah.
I don't think this was an obvious choice, and that's part of the reason why I like.
Said, like, I think I was probably one of the bigger range, like wider range players in this like first round group of draft picks this year.
100%. And yeah, that's why I like the pick, because it shows me that he's thinking bigger picture than just like, what do we need to fill out the roster? What do we need to? And that's why like the Claxton thing and the second round picks thing, it's like, I feel like it's just like up and down. It's kind of been a roller coaster, just reacting to some of the deals that have been made, some of the picks that have been made, and even some of the picks that or trades that were not made. We talk about Isaiah Joe and Aaron Wiggins. I like Swain a lot. I was high on him, and I think that's the kind of guy I would want to bet on. And then you start to see who he is as a person, and we talked to him for a couple of minutes today. It's not like I'm close friends with him or anything, but it just, you can start to see the personality and the work ethic and just who he is as a player. And again, I think for me, when I look back at the guys who have hit, it's like Jimmy Butler, Joakim Noah, the guys that are just like insane competitors, insane workers who are going to reach their potential, even if that potential is maybe a little bit lower than AJ Devance's or, Darren Peterson's. Like, I'm almost more confident in Caleb and Dailyn hitting that potential because of who it, at least at this point, appears like who they are as people.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent point, Goat. And also you heard the confidence and little cockiness come out in that interview from Dailyn Swain, just in that clip right there. Because him saying, well, if I didn't go here to the Bulls, I was going to go a little bit. I was going to go real soon after.
Presti and the Thunder were ready to snatch you up. The Bulls didn't take them.
I did hear that as well.
Yes. Hello. Have we not talked about how much we like what OKC does and want to do things they do? So if we're like, oh, they want them, then we're on the right track. But he understood that. He was like, hey, yeah, I understand people feel like I went a little higher, but I promise you I was going real soon, probably next pick or the pick after that. Like, I was out of here. So he understood it. And I love that he said, and it just put another chip on my shoulder. Another chip on my shoulder. Okay. Like I said, these dudes they crazy. He's just cooler about it. He's just real smoother about it. Okay. But they are both feeling dogs. Yes, correct, Travis. They are dogs, man. They both feel like they have something to prove. And they don't have to prove anything to us, but they feel like they have to prove it, one, to themselves, first and foremost, that they belong here. And they know that they belong here. And they're willing to go out there and show it, starting with Summer League. Okay? Like Summer League. They want to start there with it and let people know and put the league on notice, man, and let them know, like, no, we are here. And we're supposed to be here, and we are going to be doing it for the Chicago Bulls.
Stack those chips on the shoulder, man. Costco size.
Stack them up.
We got to knock out our last ad break. When we come back, yes, today's vibes have been fun, but we also we address everything. So we will address Bryson Graham's answer on trading those second round picks on round 2 Wednesday night, and dive into whether or not we think his answer was legit. Hit that like button. It's free. I saw we have a super chat as well. We will get to that on the other side of the break. We'll be right back.
First of all, if you're a regular listener or viewer of this show or any of our CHGO shows, thank you. We appreciate you, man. And we want to hear from you. So take a short survey, just very short. Let us know what you love and how we can be better. And you'll have a chance to win a $100 Amazon gift card. Obviously, if you're a follower of this show, then you are someone with great taste and impeccable judgment. 2 of those things. That's you. Head to allchgo.com/survey today to get signed up. And if you're watching us, you can scan that QR code that is right there on your screen. Takes about 3 minutes, and your feedback will help shape what we do up and through here. Everyone who completes the survey will be entered to win a $100 Amazon gift card. So let your voice be heard. Take the survey today. Scan the QR code on the screen or head to allchgo.com/survey. That's allchgo.com/survey.
CHGO Bulls is brought to you by Don Julio, 1942. When the biggest sporting event in the world comes to our backyard, toast with the icon of celebration, Don Julio 1942, during the 2026 World Cup. Made to be raised, that bottle is iconic, and they have 3 different options for the World Cup this summer. The original, the icon of celebrations, the trophy for legends on and off the field, and the mini for small but still iconic moments. From stadiums to street parties, this release is close at the heart of culture, where football, fashion, and flavor collide. It's made for those who move the moment forward, turning every celebration into a legacy. Shout out to everybody who came out to any or all of our watch parties for the World Cup, partnering with our brands at Diageo. Much respect to them. Whether you are at your favorite spot or stocking up for home for this World Cup, make it Don Julio 1942. CHGO Bulls rolling along. Shout out to Adam in the chat who said, "What's up, guys? It was my birthday on draft night. Can I get a birthday shout out? Happy belated birthday to you. Hope you feel good about your birthday presents from Bryson Graham, the Bulls, Caleb Wilson, and Dailyn Swain." And yes, last thing on the docket for today, we are going to talk about Bryson Graham and those very controversial second-round picks from Wednesday night. To do so, let's throw to our guy Flipside, who threw us a $10 super chat. Appreciate you, buddy. Michael and Jerry's draft board has leaked. Number 1, cash considerations. Number 2, Mo Moolah. Number 3, Allah Bout D Benjamins. Number 4, Jason Cheddar. Number 5, Gimme D Loot. They got
D is
their
for
guy.
that.
he's a little green, but they love him.
Oh, flip side.
Flip side.
At it again.
Bringing those glorious puns as always. Love you, buddy. Look, okay, so
That was
yes,
incredible.
there has been a lot of talk about second round picks. I lost it for a second on our show Wednesday night, more so directed at those two people in Flipside Super Chat, not at Bryson Graham. I was ready to hear an explanation. We got him a couple of times. He talked to 670. He talked to ESPN 1000 yesterday, and then he addressed it again at this morning's press conference. Sarah, take it away.
Yeah, starting with Cam. We're obviously we're evaluating just the rest of this, where this roster is at. Obviously, we're at 12 roster spots, and we have a ton of flexibility going forward. And so we just want to make sure we maintain, that flexibility, going into the summer and keep our powder dry and, continue to have optionality, and then speaking to pick 38 and 56. Yeah, it's like as you're building out, your board, and I know I kind of spoke on this yesterday, but you do get to a point where, what the targets that you have at that moment in the draft are not necessarily, guys that you feel comfortable in drafting. And if you could acquire future assets, you'll do that. And so that's just kind of where we drew the line, and then we just proceeded,
Okay, so wanted to just highlight a couple of details he said there at the beginning, and then get your take on them, Go, before we dive into the whole, was it valid to trade these picks? Mentioned Cam Jones at the beginning and did not sound firm in his answer, saying that he plans for Cam Jones to be one of those 15 roster spots this season. His contract does not become fully guaranteed until June 30th. That's 4 days from now. So for those saying, why Cam Jones in that trade, it might be that there's an extra roster spot available because they decide to waive Cam Jones. I suppose that's possible. And then the other detail, he said 12 roster spots, not 13. If you do the math of adding the 2 first-round picks and Nick Claxton coming in from that trade, then Leonard Miller being a team option is maybe one of the question marks there, and Cam Jones might be a question mark there. Is that kind of how you read that part of his answer, Goat?
Yes. So, yeah, let's start with the Cam thing. So right now, under roster, you have 13 players. That includes Nick Claxton, and that deal has not yet been completed because it cannot be completed until next league year because the Bulls are using their cap space in order to absorb that contract. They don't have any cap space until they renounce their cap holds on the guys from last year, which they cannot do until the turn of the league year. So that's part of the reason why that trade cannot be officially finalized. And so that's why, like, when he went on the score and on 670 or 670 used to be the score. What is it? 104.3 score. And
I still call it
ESPN,
670.
That's why when he went on those radio stations, he wasn't really able to talk about that because it's not final, and you can't, if you're a GM, talk about that kind of stuff yet. So it could be that. At the same point, he was talking about, well, we have $30 million in cap space. We have less flexibility. And the only way that they would get to $30 million in cap space is after they absorb Claxton's contract. So it could have been just he misspoke, and I wasn't really able to get any real clarity about that. But it also could be that they didn't pick up Leonard Miller's team option. It could be that they're still deciding whether or not they want to do that. It could be whether they are going to waive Cam Jones. His roster, his contract is only guaranteed for $1.1 million. If it is waived prior to June 30th, then that 1.1 dead cap hit will be on the Bulls books. But right now it's like 2.1 million. So they'd really only be saving $1 million. At the end of the day, they have 13 players under roster if you account for the trades, and they have about $31 million in cap space. The fringes of that could change. That will kind of depend on or be a prelude to what they're able to do. So we'll talk plenty more about that next week as free agency kicks off. And I'm sure there will be some moves made that start to clarify some of those things. As it relates to trading the picks, again, I think I don't want to talk too much about this because I do feel like I don't know. Maybe I was just like getting defensive, but I feel like it just got kind of blown out of proportion. Like, I don't love that they sold away the picks. 56 in particular, they sold that. There's like no other way around it. Not great. I also just like, it's not the end of the world. It just isn't. Like, it's not a good look. It doesn't help you in any capacity because you're not able to add that money to your cap sheet. And they could have just signed a two-way guy with that. But hearing Bryson today, it sounds like they were targeting one of the guys that they knew was going to be undrafted, and they signed him to a two-way anyway. I'm forgetting which one it was. So, okay, could they have done something better with that pick than sell it? I think so. They could have used it to package with 38 to move up and get someone that they did like more. I do have a new working theory about this. I'm putting it in an article off of the thing from today, the presser from today. So I don't want to like give that all away. But at the end of the day, I don't love the process. I think they probably could have done better with it. Am I going to be up in arms about the fact that they sold their second round picks? No, I do kind of believe him that it was his decision to move off of the picks. And I wonder if by the time he made the decision to do that, that was just the best they could do. And so maybe it's just a bad trade rather than like some insidious thing from ownership. I don't know. That's kind of the way I view it, because I do, and I want to give more credit to Sylvie in particular, but Mullion-Haw and also Waddle. But just the way that Sylvie handled that interview was really, really just, I like the way that he did that, because he pressed on him and he got Bryson to squirm a little bit. And I like that. I felt like it was it helped me kind of believe that, believe what he was saying. The problem is like a lot of it still doesn't add up. Like, you're not saving an extra roster spot. You're not putting those picks towards any cap space. So again, I don't think it's like the worst thing in the world. I think it's a bad look. I would have preferred that they did something with those picks, because you're rebuilding and like you need that value. But I don't want to like sit here. Like, I was just getting like flamed on Twitter for like thinking this was anything. And I think more of that was just me being defensive about the fact that I thought it was a bad move. But that also speaks to what I mentioned earlier, which is, I think we do this show every day. We're live during the draft and reacting to those things as they happen. Could I have been more professional about that? Probably. But also, like, we're reacting to these moves in the moment. And like, we're going to evaluate each individual thing as it happens. And we will also evaluate the bigger picture once we have it. But we're not going to just like not do the show for a couple of weeks until they make all their trades. Like, we got to do our show. So I don't love it. I don't fully buy the reasoning, and I don't really think there's any good basketball reason to sell a pick. I still believe that, but I'm also I'm not going to think it's like the worst thing in the world. I think my reaction was more just being defensive.
Yeah, go. Yeah,
yeah. You
I'm not as going to be as nice as that about that with you. Like, go.
I kind of just, that's me just kind of wanting to stop.
I know.
About it, to be honest, but.
I know. I understand. I understand. I mean, I already said my part on it earlier in the show today about it. I'm over it. I'm fine with it, just because they walked away with some real talent, in the draft, and it didn't cost you what it was going to cost you if you got it at 38 or 56. So I'm okay, completely all right with that. You walked away with a dude shooting 45% from three for his career, shooting 41. Like, they walked away with a couple of dogs, sellers, man. So, like, I watched a lot of sellers because my brother, holds season tickets for DePaul. So I got to watch him a lot, and he always kind of came up in discussions like, oh man, he's a dog kind of player. So as soon as I heard he got it, I was like, oh snap. Like, yeah, you're getting some players, you're getting some real talent with that. I can live with that. And I can also live with somebody making a move that I don't agree with. I can live with that too. Like, because I'm not asking for perfection, but I am asking for accountability on it. Yeah. And he was accountable to it. You know what I mean? Sure. He was super accountable. And I can live with all of that because of the moves I saw you make were really great moves. So you made a not so great move in the second round. I can live with that. I'd rather you do it then than at the number 4 pick. And then it set your team back 6 years. I'm okay with that if you're with that stuff, man. So no, it doesn't bother me. I'm not apologizing for what has been said or reactions that we had on the show that were going on live, because like you said, Gold, it's easy. It's much easier to play Monday morning quarterback than when it's happening right then and there. It's much easier to wait and then formalize your thoughts and then come out and put it out. That's why I like doing this. You're getting it raw immediately.
Real quick,
to
Dave.
your face.
We are going to go to a little bit of overtime here on today's show because a few more thoughts to get out on this trade stuff. If you are watching on one of our streaming partners and want that bonus coverage from today's show, just head to allchgo.com. All right, Dave. Is there more to that thought?
Yeah, just one more quick thing. It has nothing to do with any of this. Sarah, I saw somebody put this comment up, if you can find it. Someone said that Caleb is the Iceman. What is the nickname for Caleb Wilson? The nickname for Caleb Wilson is Fireman.
Fireman.
The nickname. Shout out to
Julia,
who came up with that. The nickname is Fireman. Let it spread like fire, ladies and gentlemen, because that is the nickname for Caleb. We got the Iceman here at Soldier Field, and we got the Fireman at the United Center. And just like that, the colors match up. Bears, cold blue, fire red, Bulls. Like, it all matches up, baby. It is perfect.
I think you meant to say Hammond, Indiana, but other than that, spot on. No, the one last thing I'll say is, like, again, I think there are things about those deals that I disagree with. I think they could have put those picks to better use, but I also agree with you that, like, I appreciate the accountability and the fact that they were willing to go onto the radio and talk with us about it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's going to be impossible for me to agree with everything that these guys do. But I think what I was responding to is more like, this is the same type of thing that people would have been like losing their minds about if it was Arturis or Gar and Pax. And like, everybody's just fine with saying it's okay because Bryson's doing it. We have to like wait and see what he does when we're reacting to a thing that Bryson did. So I think that was kind of more where I was coming from. Is like, no, I'm reacting to this thing that happened. And yeah, like I said, I stand by what I said. I don't think it was a good use of those picks, but
right.
What else can you do?
And that, to weigh in with my 2 cents on it, I think some of what Bryson Graham made sense. And I think some of what he said to me rings kind of hollow. I mean, and he did, as you said, basically just admitted, yeah, pick 56, yeah, we just sold that. Okay. 38, there is a bit more layered. Mm-hmm. And the layers that concern me are this guy supposedly hired specifically as an elite talent evaluator. And that's one of the big reasons why the Bulls brass and the search committee really thought that he was a great guy for the job. And he says to us now in multiple interviews, yeah, we looked at that board coming into night 2 and, there weren't any of our targets there. Weren't any of our targets left. So, I mean, does that mean that he did a really good job targeting the 30 best players in the draft and they all went on night 1? And so his board was empty on night 2. I don't love that if that's the truth, because you got no names on your board coming into Wednesday night, and maybe he had only 1 or 2 and they went somewhere 31 to 35. You got all these second round picks. You saw teams move up by offering multiple second round picks in this same draft that same evening, and you didn't do that. That to me is still a question mark. And then talking about them as future assets and saying, well, let's push these assets forward. Did you actually gain any assets? Because if an asset is flexibility, okay. If you're waiving Cam Jones, then technically you opened up one additional roster spot for potential future offseason moves to bring in money and get assets from spending that money in other ways, as Bryson has said. Okay. The other asset of future second round swaps, are those swaps actually going to be assets compared to where the Bulls are going to be slotted in the second round of coming draft picks or coming draft years? I don't know about that. I don't feel great about calling those assets. And so he said, the cash part of the pick 38 trade, like, yeah, there was cash involved too, but it was about more so the flexibility and pushing those assets into the future. I question how asset-y those assets are. And when you see it compared to what other teams did with their second-round picks, multiple specifically, because the Bulls have lots of them right now. Shout out AK. I Bulls fans were losing it earlier today when the Isaiah Joe trade dropped. And we talked about it with the Beef Stew trade earlier on draft night. Not to say that I desperately wanted Beef Stew or like think that Isaiah Joe is the missing piece to this rebuild in year one. I'm just saying when you see other teams use second round picks that way, and Bryson is fair to say, did y'all watch round 2? How many teams actually kept and used the second round pick that they started the night with? Because it was less than half, like very much less than half. Okay, that's fine. How did those teams use their picks? How did you use yours? And for me right now, that answer is still very much I'm gonna wait here and see what you do next. But I do, as you said, go, Andy, I appreciate the fact that Bryson said, I'm not ducking smoke. I'll answer these questions. These are fair questions. I want fans to feel like they know what I'm thinking. I appreciate that because, boy, how big of a difference is that compared to the previous team? I respect, but it doesn't mean that all my questions got answered. And so when you talk about what second round picks are worth in the NBA right now and the different ways you can make use of them, as you said, Goat, and you wrote it in your column too, selling them, I think, is the least useful way to use them when you're talking about building a winning basketball program.
All right, I said I wasn't going to say this, but I'll just say it anyway. So here's my new theory about what happened. Okay. I think that they went into the second round, ahead of the second round, and they knew that they were going to get their guy as an undrafted free agent, Toby Awaka from Arizona. I think that was the guy that they wanted with the 56th pick.
Yeah.
They thought, okay.
They had him marked at 38. Like, seriously.
This is our guy, and we're going to have him directed to us as a two-way. Nobody's going to draft him. We're not going to worry about it. And then we can sell the pick for cash and, give that cash to ownership. Don't love it. Would it have been better to just take him? Probably, I guess, from like a basketball optics perspective, for sure. But I think like part of it is just like the agency negotiations and like how you sort of manage where guys end up in the second round. So I think that was part of it. That trade happens before the draft, right? And so they didn't have the 56th pick to be able to trade. My guess is that they had two guys that they thought were going to fall to them, Trevin Brazil and Baba Miller. Both guys are just have slap written across their chest. They are the epitome of slap guys. I'm sorry, I had to go there. They went 35 and 36. Bulls are at 38. Both their guys are gone. They had already traded 56. They can't move up to get them. Maybe they didn't want to move any future seconds. I think they easily could have done that if they had wanted to. And I think this also ties in with the Stewart, Wiggins, and Joe non-trades, is that I just don't think that they wanted to give up any future seconds. Now, does that track with selling them? No. So that's also not a great answer there. But, okay, the two guys that you liked that you thought would be there at 38 aren't there. You realize there's no one else you want, or the guys that you do want, you can sign undrafted. So, okay, let's sell the pick or trade the pick. Once that pick is on the board, the value does go down. I think the 38th pick in a vacuum sounds like a very valuable pick because it's close to the first round. By the time 38 is on the clock, the value has decreased because all the options ahead of you are gone. And so, and the person who's now trading for that can't trade up. So is it still valuable? Yes. Is it as valuable as it would have been going into round 2 or ahead of the draft? I don't know that you can say definitively that it was. Maybe. And certainly there are teams that, the Pacers wanted it, like they got their guy. So I think by the time they were on the board and they realized that the two guys that they wanted weren't available, they decided to trade the pick and ultimately just took a bad deal for it because they couldn't get anything better because the value of that pick had decreased. Right. So the thing that changes for me with that is that it's not like this, okay, let's just like collect as much cash as we can and give it to ownership. It's more just like the front office made a deal that we didn't think was good. So that's part of why I think they just if they had traded the pick for like 2 future second round picks, I think we'd be much happier with that.
Yeah.
I think 2 things there. Number one is that one of the assumptions is that Bryson likes Cam Jones. I want to put that to the side for a second. The second one is that the second round swaps are not of value. And I don't think they are of particular value. I think like in all likelihood, the Pacers are going to be a better team than the Bulls in 2028 and 2030. Yeah. But in the event that they're not, with the new lottery reform, however the lottery lands in the first round is the reverse order of the second round. So if you have the first pick in the first round, you get the 46th pick in the second round. And so is there a chance that that becomes valuable? Probably more likely in 2030. Possibly if the Bulls like happen to win the lottery that year and the Pacers get 16th and like Halliburton hurts himself again and they fall out of the draft and they get 16th, they would have the 31st pick that year. So there's a chance that could be valuable. I don't think that's enough to say we're pushing our assets forward because, again, you're not getting future assets. And then to the Cam Jones piece, you're talking about flexibility and roster spots. You didn't need to take him back. You're just taking back an extra contract. So hopefully you like him. Hopefully that's the guy you wanted. But in the end of the day, he wouldn't commit at the press conference today to saying that he was going to keep Cam Jones. Right. So if you just waive him, now you're helping them out. You're taking a roster spot away from them. And even if you waive him by the guarantee date, you're still taking a $1 million cap hit and not getting anything for it. So I do wonder kind of if it was just a bad trade that they settled for because they didn't like anybody in the moment. I still don't think that's a great process. I still think they could have done better. I still could tell you other options that were available based on the trades that were made that I would have preferred. But what I said earlier about, I think Bryson is very particular about the people that he wants to bring in. I do think that played a role. And that kind of makes me feel a little bit more like this was his decision and the decision was just a bad trade. I don't know if that makes sense. It's kind of like big brain. It might be Occam's razor, like they just sold the pick. I think that's probably more realistic, but
make a small bad decision instead of a bigger bad decision.
Yeah. And erring on the side of what you want at the same time. Like he clearly had, like you said, there's a type that he wants, the high character guys with the work ethic and that love the game. If he doesn't feel like those guys are there, then he's not going to take them. He also said this. He was like, well, I'm not going to not turn down a guy just because I don't have to love them. He was like, if I like them, I'm going to go ahead and draft that player. So clearly it just wasn't anybody that he felt that he liked, you know what I mean? Just going by his word and what he's saying. There wasn't anybody that he said I liked and I want to take this basketball player at this position right here and let's trade it. Like I'm not in disagreement with you all about the process. And I said it a million times, I wanted him to draft at 38 and take someone. Mm-hmm. But it's hard for me to, argue with somebody who said, I ain't like nobody. So I ain't want to get nothing.
Right. Like if you are a draft guy and you hit on all your picks, like the ones that you hit on are the ones that you made, right? But if you like start to add more volume to those, the like hit rate might go down because you're taking guys you don't like. So and maybe he really thinks that these swaps are valuable because of the potential for the second round lottery reform to change how the results could be. So again, I don't think that's good enough value for the 30th overall pick. But I wonder if they just took a bad deal because they didn't like anybody on their board. And again, I would have rather put those second round picks to better use. I could give you a million different things that they could have done better, but I just don't think that this is like fire Bryson. Like I'm not there yet. Like crazy. I want to give him.
Anybody saying that today is out of their minds.
But I also do feel like I need to say that because a lot of people were saying.
I'm seeing it all over the place. It's been in our chat today.
So again, I'm just reacting to the trades as we see them. We still need to know what the bigger picture is going to be. I think that there were some options that they could have better used those picks for. We talked about Stewart. We talked about Aaron Wiggins a couple of days ago. Isaiah Joe today, 2 second round picks. Could the Bulls have gotten him? Maybe. I think Presti probably wanted to send him to a team that was going to be a little bit better. But I also think that the Bulls need to use their $30 million in cap space to take on a bigger contract. And I also think that, and this is again where it's like a little bit of a disconnect. I think that they probably just didn't want to trade away any of their future second round picks, which I get, but then don't sell the picks, don't like get rid of them when you have so it is a little bit of a disconnect, but that's just kind of the way I'm trying to make sense of it based on what I heard a little bit today and the way Bryson has talked about how he evaluates people as prospects.
And that's, thus the crash out that I had Wednesday night, and I had plenty of Bulls fans right alongside me had a crash out. And as you were saying, Sylvie had to explain to Bryson in that radio interview yesterday, like, no, Bulls fans legit have scars from this. Okay,
Right.
This team just completely devaluing second round picks and prioritizing cash over taking swings on young talent when your team desperately needs young talent.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, I don't love and believe 100% of Bryson's answers in his various interviews yesterday and then again this morning. Some of it checks out to me. Some of it is still a big old question mark, but I appreciate either way that he was there answering those questions and seemingly not afraid to do so. And hopefully that is something that will be a through line through this new regime. Because, hey, it's easy to answer questions when you're new on the job and most everybody is rooting for you and likes you and thinks you're doing a bang-up job so far. Great job, little buddy. And then maybe as things get darker or change or shift, you're ducking into closets like AK and Ryan Poles. Like, I really hope that doesn't become the case later on in the Bryson Graham era, but it was so refreshing to just see him yesterday and today face those questions head on and offer his logical response to them. You can agree or disagree with his logic, but he's not afraid of those questions, which I appreciate.
I also think
he's not hiding in no closet. Yeah.
I think that there's other ways for him to show that he values the two-way spots, the G League team. And I think he's going to have to do that. He's going to have to prove that. But I think part of the reason why the cash considerations thing and the selling of the second round picks and never valuing those, part of the reason why that has been such a big deal is because the Bulls have never taken the G League seriously. They've never tried to develop players like the Heat do, or like any of those other teams that like just find guys off the scrap heap and develop them into players. And now Miami's starting like Gabe Vincent and Max Strus in the NBA finals. Like the Bulls have never done that. They've never taken that seriously. They've gotten like 25-year-old guys that can maybe like fill in for a game if somebody gets hurt on the NBA level. So I think there are other ways that Bryce can prove that he is taking those spots seriously, the two-way spots, and just the G League in general. And so I'm curious to see how that goes. Yeah, again, I think I don't always agree or disagree with everything that he's going to do. That was true with Arturas, and there were things that I thought that Arturas did that were good. Like I thought he did a good job getting value for Zach LaVine when he did. I don't think he got enough credit for the return that he got there. It wasn't a great trade, but like you look at what other teams were getting for their $49 million players with 3 years left on their contract. None of them were getting first round picks back, and it was their own pick and all this stuff, all the other mistakes, whatever. But my whole point is like, I'm trying to look at each of these moves individually and objectively. And I'm not going to like all of them, but I 100% second what you guys just said about him showing up and taking accountability. And maybe I don't even believe what he says. And that is the case for pieces of this. But I do appreciate that he's going out there and saying it and not taking it personally or not making it change the relationship with the media or not then wanting to in the future go out and do that. Because that's how like front offices are supposed to work. Like they're supposed to disagree on things and then come to a conclusion and be unified on it and move on. And it's impossible for everybody to agree on everything. Like the people in the comments are arguing about it. People are agreeing with what I say today or disagreeing with what I said whenever. But I think at the end of the day, like we just need to move on from it because I think there are other ways that there still have to be other moves, but this is definitely for me a question of like, okay, how are they let's see if this is going to be a thing again. Are they going to continue to sell picks? Are they going to continue to not get value when they take on a big contract like Nick Claxton? Let's see what they do. But yeah, I'm not ready to, have them fired just yet.
Well, I think also we're united in our disapproval of you taking shots at Yuki, the 25-year-old G League guys and stuff, man. We didn't appreciate that.
Yuki lost his number to Caleb Wilson, Dave. It was
not necessary. I just said it wasn't necessary. The shot wasn't necessary.
One more two-way spot open.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Still have one more two-way spot open.
All right. Well, we can wrap it up for the day and for the week there. Assuming no breaking news over the weekend, that would be nice. It's been a long, busy week. We will be back Monday with a 5 p.m. start time, Central Standard Time, because we got a bunch of big stuff going on. All City Network is doing a bunch of stuff Monday that's fun, but needs to push our show back a little bit. So we'll be live Monday at 5, and we're going to be joined by a couple of experts on a couple of those, not Caleb Wilson and Dailyn Swain named guys that the Bulls picked up this week, undrafted guys and things of that nature. Maybe Cam Jones if he's still around. So keep an eye on that for Monday. And then, of course, Tuesday next week, the window for free agency officially opens at 5 p.m. Central Time. We will be live again Tuesday at 5 as the first hour of free agency unfolds. Before we get out of here, wanted to, again, just give a huge shout out and a million thank yous to our Queen of the Controls, Sarah Bear, for this show today. She was with me and Big Dave talking to Legs earlier today. And Steven was our lead producer for both of our draft shows this week. But behind the scenes, every minute there was Sarah Bear helping out, cutting clips, making shorts, getting stuff out on socials, along with our other queen, Emma. Shout out to Chloe as well. She was a big help this week. Shout out to Steven. Our production crew just absolutely crushed it this week. And we can't provide this kind of content for you guys out there who we appreciate tuning in so much every day. Without their tireless efforts, and especially crazy busy weeks like this. And there was so much going on at CHGO across the board this week. Cubs players getting carted off, Blackhawks making trades, all kinds of crazy stuff happened this week. Our production crew knocked it out of the park, and we appreciate them each and every day. So show them some love. And shout out to you, Bulls Nation. Thanks for hanging out with us during a crazy, fun, busy week. We'll be back on Monday. Read GOAT stuff, allchgo.com. Become a diehard, promo code GOAT, so you can read all that stuff. That's for diehards only. Follow Will_Gottlieb. Big Day, bow, BWL Sports.
Bow.
I'm Bulls_Peck. We are CHGO_Bulls. Go watch our interview with Horace Grant, available now. Check out our interview with Tim Legler, dropping tomorrow morning. Check that out, too.
CHGO Wrestling out right now. Go check it out. Myself, Greg Boyson, Brendan Parolini. Sarah put that up also as well.
Speaking of other things Sarah took care of this week. Have yourselves a wonderful weekend, Bulls Nation, wherever you are. Enjoy the weather if you can. Enjoy a little deep breath after a crazy week, and we will talk to you on Monday. See Red, be good.
We all silly like the mayor.